So what's going on, guys? Thinking about tackling these push rod tubes. Pull the rockers off and install these bad boys. I put one on about 2 years ago, and the other tubes are starting to get all rusty, really crappy looking. None of them are leaking, but I think I'm going to go ahead and when I loosen the head up, I think I'll go ahead and slide these in. These are the JC Enterprises, the real ones. They have a really nice heavy duty spring on there, and they have two grooves in there for O-rings, so they're double O-ringed. And these are pretty good. They're adjustable and they're spring loaded, so they have tension on the seal all the time. And that'll take care of the few oil leaks I got on the bottom there. Got a couple push rod tube seals that are seeping. So we'll get the heads loosened up and take care of that stuff. I had a couple guys ask me some questions, and I'm going to try to give you some answers, because I'm really crappy at responding on the videos. Been having an issue with my computer where I can't respond on my questions all the time, and then when I go to comment on other people's pages, it's still I got a little circle going at the bottom of the video while the video is playing. Never loads all the comments and stuff that people leave. So I found that by going and hit the YouTube icon, then go back over into my menu and pull the video out of my favorites, that sometimes I can comment on that video or leave a thumbs up. So anybody that's got any clues or advice on that, I'd appreciate it. Now this is Wells soldering iron. Somebody was asking me where I picked this up, and I want to say I picked it up at Sears before they closed in my area at the tool store. It does have a couple extra tips. This is my favorite one. This looks sort of like a spoon. It's flat, and that'll take care of pretty much anything you want to do on a bumper cover. I know they do make some filler rod, but if you ever need filler off the cover, you can always you know, come down at the bottom, or you know, look somewhere inside the cover and trim a piece off and use it as filler. Here's a look where I welded this cover up and melted it back together, whatever you want to say. You know, you can see there, looks sort of like a bead. And I usually do both sides, and it gives you a really good strong repair on the cover. You know, if you want it to weld a little better on this side, just cut the paint off first before you melt it together. I didn't do that because I knew I was going to do both sides. So the next step here is we'll hit this with some 80 grit, and yeah, I said 80. You know, get it the shape of the cover. We'll skim it with some urethane bumper repair stuff, and then knock that down. We'll put some high build primer on there, and we'll be off to the races, as they say. So hopefully that'll be tomorrow. This is got to go by Sunday, so not too much pressure on that one. And here's something I've been wanting to show you guys. This is what I use for assembly oil. A lot of you guys are wanting to know. This is 50 weight. It's an Aero Shell. It's aviation oil. It has all the flat tappet additives, and it exceeds all the manufacturer's requirements on the oil. It's really good stuff. It's anti-corrosive. If you got an aluminum engine case, it's very good for that. And it's a single weight oil, which is good for racing. You know, it's a little thick for on the street, probably 50 weight, but in a race situation with a lot of load on the engine, it's not a bad deal. We used to use 70 weight in the funny cars when I worked on that. So this is a 50 weight. It's a good assembly oil. It's thinner than assembly lube, but it still gives you excellent bearing protection and break in on your lifters and stuff. And you don't have to worry about it eating a hole in the aluminum case. I've seen before a lot of oils will pick up contaminants from the fuel, and that'll get onto the case, and it can deteriorate the Volkswagen cases. I've actually seen them where there's been a hole, whoops, out of focus there, eaten into the case from the oil. There we go. Very out of focus there. I think that's better. But anyway, that's a Wells. It's a Wells soldering iron, and Sears. So you might want to check like at a Kmart or Sears if you got one of those in your area, and you could find one of those. I did have I saw Carlos's video. He wanted some help on welding an oil pickup onto a pump. You can see there, just put a little spot weld, and I used my MIG welder for that, which, you know, will work. You don't want to go crazy and, you know, burn the crap out of the pump. This is a cast pump, and cast tends not to weld very well. Some of the engine shops I worked at, what they do is they'll take this pump apart, they'll take the cover off of the pump, they pull the gears out, they bolt the cover back onto the pump to keep the integrity there, and they'll put this pump into the oven or onto a hot plate and get the whole pump warm. And after the pump warms up, they'll use a TIG with a nickel rod, and a TIG and nickel work very good on cast, and you know, you're welding to steel, so you know, that's one way to do it. And then in the past, what I've seen the race shops, what they're doing now is they're taking and they're welding a bracket piece of flat to the pickup right here, and they're going over to this screw and they're just attaching it with a weld here and a bolt here, and not welding the pickup. You can distort the pump a little bit when you weld the pickup to the pump body. That's why it's always best to heat the pump up so it's not you know, cold when you do it, and it helps it saturate the cast a little better. So like I said, just spot weld it if you're going to TIG it, you know, TIG it with some nickel rod, heat the pump up first, and if you just have a MIG welder, make you a little bracket from the pickup over to the bottom screw, and you can bolt the pickup onto the pump that way, and you don't even have to weld it. So a couple tips for Carlos there. So that's what's going on here. I didn't get a whole lot done today. Took a nap, and I got to get this off. Got the fog lights out. Got it, you know, started. So I need to come out here and make a decision on the wheels. I definitely think I'm going to try to buy some wheels for these, because I don't want to try to blow the arm up again putting them on these. And you know, if I did take these slicks off and try to put the new ones on and damage the rims, then I'm out completely. So we're getting to the wire. I'll try to get some wheels made over at Whole Shot. I really didn't want to go with the Chevy pattern until I bought the disc brakes. I might be forced to buy some Chevy drums. They make the drums now with the Chevy pattern, so we might have to do that. So the other thing that I tell Noel, I know he watches my videos. I know he did his exhaust pipe last night. Went over there and showed me his exhaust pipe's almost in the same exact place that I put mine. Mine used to be out the back of the car. I don't like that. I like it under the car, you know. Comes off the turbo up there and comes down and then comes around. It's 3.5, I think, or 3-inch. And then I bolted right to the side of the case there with a bracket off the pipe. But you see the pipe comes off the back of the car and sort of points not towards the ground. I know this is the bullshit meter is going to be going off, but you'll see a lot of the turbo guys lately, they don't ever point this pipe towards the ground. There's so much pressure that comes out of this pipe on boost that if you put your hand here, it'd burn it off, for one thing. And the other thing is there's quite a bit of pressure that comes out of that pipe. I know on some of the 10.5 cars, it was starting to lift the car off the ground. The pressure from the pipe, you know, when they had them down on the ground, or if it was coming out of the side of the car pointing over onto the guardrail or the wall, it was driving the car over the center line. So a lot of the guys started putting the pipe straight up in the air. They look like bullhorns now. If you see them, they're coming out of the fender and they point straight up or towards the back of the car. And that's why. If you got this pipe pointing to the ground, they can make the car drive shitty on boost, especially, you know, if you got a lot of steam coming out of the motor. It'll definitely have some pressure there and give the car some lift. So, you know, be sure to take that pipe and angle it straight, not straight down. That could be troublesome. So that's about it on that. That's where we're at. So I hope everybody's having a good 4th. Kids and Mama went to see some fireworks. I didn't go because I ain't getting around real good. So sometimes it's easier for them to do stuff without the old man, you know. So that's what they're doing. They're out there at the fireworks place checking that stuff out. And people are going crazy here. A lot of rednecks in Florida, so 4th of July is always big here. So, see if we can get some fireworks. They're going off everywhere out here. So, everybody's a pyrotechnic on 4th of July. But, yeah. So anyway, hope everybody's doing good. Hope you guys are staying safe. Careful with those fireworks. You never want those to go off in your hand or anything like that. I'll tell you, get some springs for the Nova. Got some springs for the Nova there. So I think all we're waiting on now is the rotors. But I think I can assemble the front end, put these springs in there, get my control arms, my spindles all bolted up, everything minus the front brake parts. I need some rotors and some new brake lines and stuff like that. So maybe this weekend we'll get back there and make that baby boy, make it a roller. I want to get it where I can get it out of the Bermuda Triangle back there and get it where I can do some work on it. So that's what's going on. I did try to put the hinges in Lily, the hinge pins I should say, and no go, can't do it. And so these are the pins, this is the ream, and these pins, here's the one with the threads for the mirror. That's what the pin looks like. And I tried to drive the pin out with the air hammer and it didn't move. So short of ripping the hinge off the door with the air hammer, I'm sure you could beat the shit out of it and maybe get it to move. Maybe heat the hinge up and drive the pin out, I don't know. I think the best way to do it is just rent the tool. You know, one of the guys on YouTube put a nice video up on the tool that AirNet rents. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to get the tool. They like you to buy the pins from them and the ream, of course, which is understandable. And what it does is it sort of clamps this and drives the pin up through the tool. It has a series of little pins, and as the pin comes out, you put the longer pin in there and it drives the hinge pin right out of the door. Then you use the reamer, put your new pin in, and I suppose you're supposed to, they say to put the pins in the fridge, shrink them down, and then drive it into the door. So, see, the problem with this car is I can't really move the door. If you see the body line here, body lines on the Bug are pretty tight, and the line is symmetrical from the top to the bottom. That means the opening is perfect, it's in great shape. You remember before we cut the heater channels out of this, we took and welded tubing from here to the rear quarter so the front post wouldn't move. And I'm very confident that the post is exactly where it was at pre-accident. And like I said, you got a good gap there, you got a good gap all the way around, you got a good gap here. And the problem is that little bit, you know, if it had the striker in there, it would sit on it and it'd be perfect. And that's just how it's gonna have to be. I'm gonna put the striker in there, get this thing finished, buffed, finish the floor, paint the core, or paint the firewall here, and retouch up all my black. I'm gonna rhino line the wheel openings there, wheel wells, and of course buff it one more time. It's been sitting out back so it's all dirty. And we'll get it as detailed as possible, get it as clean as possible, do all my rhino lining and my black paint work, and that's going to be the end of this one. If he wants to take it somewhere and have a hinge pin put in, he can do that. He's got the pins. He can rent the tool and do it himself. And then I can repaint whatever damage they do, because it will damage the door, I'm afraid. And you know, at least mark the hinge up. The hinge will have to be repainted. And the problem with trying to do it with an air hammer here is your air hammer is right on the door and you have no room for air. So that's where we're at. We're just gonna go ahead and finish this one up. And I went over the paperwork, I looked at everything that I've charged for, and there was never any mention about this door. You know, it's always been off. There you can see the movement in the hinge is exactly what the door lacks. So yeah, it would have been nice to know that that was an issue before they decided to paint the car. But you know, it only became an issue after the car was painted, and that's not the time to decide that you want to fix something. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm gonna give it one more good buff, tighten everything up, do what we just talked about, and let it fly. So, and I'm gonna move on to the next one. So I got some stuff that I want to get done, get some of my cars done. I'm looking for a street car, so I'm gonna be doing that. Try to put some stuff out of the race car into a street car. I want to be able to enjoy it more, drive it and stuff like that. So either gonna sell the race car or find somebody that wants a badass race car and trade it for a street car. So that's sort of the plan. So that's where we're at on that. So if you got a badass street car and you want a badass race car, I'm looking to trade. So we can probably work something out. I know street cars are getting just as valuable as a race car. So a lot of guys were like, man, that'd be a bad trade for you. But it's not easy to build a street car, and it's not easy to find you know, a fast race car. So it'll all work out. I just figure a street car I can use a lot more in my condition. And it's hard to find people to go to the track and you know, help you with the car. I've had 2 people that wanted to go, and different dates and obligations, you know, prevent them from going. When it comes down to it, you know, you got to go 3 or 4 states away. You're going to be gone for a couple days, and you know, it's sometimes the logistics are hard to get a group of guys together and race a car. So it's not like a car that, like the Nova, where I used to be able to just jump in it and drive to the track and you know, put some gas in it out there and just race it and drive it home. That's more like what I need, you know. I don't need something that has to go on a trailer and be towed to the track and all that good stuff. So that's where I'm at. And anytime that you have to depend on somebody to haul your car somewhere, you know, you're sort of at their mercy. So that's where I'm at also. I'd really like to get more self-sufficient, get my Nissan working again. I used to have the Ford, the diesel, and me and Gaden were pretty tight when I sold that. I figured there'd be no problem with, we were racing the car pretty regular, and I don't know what happened there, but you know, I'm back to where I need to have my own transportation. So I'm gonna work on the Nissan. I got an old open trailer, and that's always worked really good for me. So as soon as I get the tranny fixed in that, I'll be a lot more able to get in more races and just load the car up and go. So we're trying to figure out the logistics right now, getting the car to South Carolina still. Gaden was wanting to take it Monday because he's got to be up there all week, and that's not going to happen. I don't think I'll have the car done. Still got to finish up the push rod tubes, figure out something for the wheels, you know, stuff like that. And it's sort of fluid right now. You know, I'm doing it as I get the money. So got to scrounge for the money to get it done, and you know, it's not something there. I just have it in my back pocket and can go buy everything I need at once. So still got to pick up some fuel and this and that, some other stuff. I might try to fit the rear deck lid and the wing on it. I need to get that done. Got to weld some bracings on and put some hood pins and some Zeus fasteners to pull that off. But the car would look much more complete with the deck lid on it and the wing. So I don't think you guys have ever seen the wing, but the deck lid's back here. I got it painted, and it's really dusty. There's the deck lid. We got to get that put on the car, drill some holes, make some fasteners, some Zeus fat tabs and stuff like that. I bought all this stuff to do it and just never actually got around to finishing it. So that might be something that I can work on tomorrow. I'm gonna dig the wing out of the shed and get it hung on there and put the deck lid in place and see if I can make it all one piece. I do still have to paint the wing, so if I do that, we'll turn the camera on, paint some flames and stuff. A lot of you guys like that kind. And this has got 3 colors on it, and then orange candy. It's red, yellow, and white is the flames with candy over it. So that's what we're doing. Crazy cats. A couple cats that didn't get eaten by the buzzards today. So anyway, that's what's going on. I figure I'll turn this camera off. I think I answered the soldering gun question. I answered Carlos on the oil pickup. So that's my 2 cents on it. Somebody might have a better suggestion. I know they do make some badass oil pumps now, where that pickup actually bolts to the bottom of the pump. I know if you buy an aftermarket pickup and pan, it usually has the bracket welded on it to attach the pickup tube to the bottom of the pump, and eliminates you having to weld the tube in the pump. So hopefully that answers some questions, and you guys have a good one. Stay safe, and turn the camera on.